Yeah. They're really, well, that's because they're usually linked. Well, that's not. Oh, they're not. There we go. Good morning, everybody. We're going to give 5 minutes and then we will start. We do have quorum, but I know there's some people either still at or on their way from breakfast, but we are going to start in 5 minutes, so please be ready to take your seats. Nope. The light on your camera's on if you're not aware. Okay. No, I don't mind that, but I know something, then your battery's drained, you don't remember it's on or realize it. Oh, Travis is here, we can start. Yeah, if we can get everyone to take their seats, we're going to start here in 1 minute. And I appreciate everyone here coming in on time. I hope everyone had a chance to have breakfast. Shall we? And we've got enough in here. All right, I'm going to open up the...
Oh, we need to do a test question.
You want to do the
today.
test? Okay. What we're going to do, we will do a test question this morning, and hopefully that will get everyone back in. But we are going to start the assembly again. We do have quorum between online and here in person. So again, thank you everyone for coming in. I'll turn it over to our clerk for our test question for the morning.
All right, if we could get that displayed. Everybody ready for a vote? After this, we'll know who our friends and family are. So your test question for Sunday, September 21st is, resolved that fried bannock is the best bannock. For folks in the room, push A or 1 for if you agree, push B or 2 if you disagree, or press 3 or C if you wish to abstain.
What kind of jam?
And polls are open.
Tom, that's the lawyer thing, so it depends.
Yeah, right. Gotta have some kind of jam. That's true. Depends on what time of day. If it's morning, I want Saskatoon jam. Lunchtime, some stew. That would be good.
We'll give it 10 more seconds. All right, and we will close the polls and get the results up on the screen. Ooh, this is close. But apparently most of us here and online favor fried bannock.
Well, thank you everyone for coming in this morning, and I'm sure we'll have more people trickling in as we continue. Just a couple of things. We do have 4 resolutions to get through, but really that's all the business that we have. So we'll do the best we can. There is a hard end of 12:30 to be out, so I'm hoping we won't have to go that far, but we'll see. I know checkout time is 12 for those that have not yet. So there is a health break that's scheduled that people may need to take advantage, and I being one of those as well. But yeah, so I'm also going to be maybe a bit more diligent with the timer, just so that we can make sure we get people going. Here we go. I'll turn it over to our clerk. We're going to start with resolution number 5. We have quorum.
And just to confirm, we do have a quorum. Resolution 5 is enhancing MVBC representation at the MNGA and clarifying the relationship with the MNBC Board of Directors. It affects the Constitution, the MNGA Act, and the Veterans Act. It was submitted by the Métis Nation Governing Assembly via the Region 1 Director on May 31st, 2025, and will require a 75% vote for approval. Whereas the Métis Veterans BC Committee works with the MNBC Board of Directors and within the MNBC governance structure to support Métis veterans in BC. Veterans do not have direct access to the MNBC governance structure and rely on other members of the MNGA to propose any changes to the Veterans Act or to act in their stead. MVBC members are veterans and are uniquely positioned to ascertain the wants and needs of veterans and their families, which can be inadvertently missed by people who do not have military or RCMP experience. Be it resolved that the following be added as a sub-article to Article 29 of the Constitution. The chairperson of the Métis Veterans BC, MVBC, shall be a non-voting member of the MNGA for the purposes of submitting resolutions to enact new or change existing legislation or the Constitution regarding matters that directly impact veterans on behalf of MVBC, participating in discussion and providing information on the above noted matters. B, the following be added as a sub-article to Article 4.2 of the Métis Nation Veterans Act. The chairperson of the Métis Veterans BC shall be a non-voting member of the MNGA for the purposes of submitting resolutions to enact new or existing legislation or the Constitution regarding matters that directly impact veterans on behalf of MVBC, and participating in discussion and providing information on the above noted matters. The following be added as a sub-article to Article 3.1 of the MNGA Act. The chairperson of the Métis Veterans BC shall be a non-voting member of the MNGA for the purposes of submitting resolutions to enact new or existing legislation or the Constitution regarding matters that directly impact veterans on behalf of MVBC, and participating in discussion on the above noted matters. The following underlined text be added as a sub-article to Article 12.1A, 12.2A, and 12.3A of the MNGA Act. Sub-article I, despite Article 12.1A, the Métis Veterans BC Committee may, through the MVBC Chair, submit resolutions to the MNGA on matters that directly affect Métis veterans, and insert the following as a new article to the end of the Veterans Act. So article number to be determined, national representation and relationship with the MNBC Board of Directors. The MVBC chair or designate shall be a non-voting liaison for the MVBC to the MNBC Board of Directors. Despite any changes to MNBC's relationships with other levels of government or other Métis organizations, MVBC will continue to work for MNBC veterans at a national level, particularly with regard to providing necessary opportunities for MVBC to participate on Veterans Affairs Canada advisory committees, working with the Canadian Armed Forces, working with other appropriate partners, such as Library and Archives Canada. Nothing should preclude MVBC from receiving funding from other levels of governments, organizations, or agencies. MVBC will provide written reports of activities and partnerships to the Board of Directors at the MNBC Annual General Meeting and the in-person MNGA. And F, renumber all articles in the Constitution, the MNGA Act, and the Veterans Act as necessary.
Thank you very much. I'll look for a mover for Resolution 5. Oh, I think we've got a couple coming to the microphone. I'll recognize the speaker to my left.
Dave Armit, member of Mikisew and chair for Métis Veterans BC. I so move.
Thank you. And I'll look speaker to my left.
Tom Adams, Mikisew Métis. I second the motion.
Thank you very much. So the resolution's on the floor, and I'll turn it over to Mr. Armit if you wish to speak to it.
No, thank you very much. We as a Veterans Committee felt that we were being underrepresented at all levels, where we did not have access to the needed connections to support our veterans. Specifically, it was mentioned in this literature, in the legislation, that we needed to have those connections at the national level. A minister for veterans doesn't have that same connection. The minister would be at the political level, where we work at the bureaucratic level. So in the last 14 years that I've been involved with the Métis veterans, we haven't had that connection or that support. Up until about 3 years ago, we then made inroads. I've been a very big proponent of developing a National Métis Veterans Council, where we would get onto Veterans Affairs tables and advisory committees. That didn't occur until just 3 years ago, and Veterans Affairs has listened to it. So I'm on now the National Care and Advisory Group, as well as the Policy Advisory Group for Veterans Affairs, so that I can have a Métis veteran voice at a table where we haven't been heard before. That's a groundbreaker. Another thing that we've done is opened up the door to Library Archives Canada. For those of you that don't know about Library Archives Canada, if a person serves in the military, you can obtain your own personal service records if you released from the Canadian Forces. I think it's after 2006. D&D keeps them, but before that time, such as myself, I would have to go to Library Archives Canada. I would have to wait 2 years to get that request, and sometimes takes longer. So we were able to speak with the Veterans Affairs folks to give them an example. And one of the examples that I can portray as my own personal example. My father served in the military a very short time in the 50s. He passed away just over 20 years ago, but at his 18th year of death, I sent in a request for records, his personal records. It took them 2.5 years to get me the records. 40 pages came back, almost all of it redacted, because the date that I submitted it, he was only deceased 18 years. But they couldn't do the math to come up with he's been deceased more than 20 years, give me the full record. So I actually reached out to them and said, can you guys not do the math? It's more than 20 years. And they sent me the 40 files unredacted. So it's having that advocacy ability at that level. After that point, we then got a meeting with the Library Archives Canada people who said to us, in the spirit of reconciliation, they would fast track any Indigenous files that we've put forward to them. In this case, World War II Métis veterans, if there's still veterans that are alive who are entitled to the compensation, we can support that, or a spouse of a veteran who is still alive, we can support that. That would require us to go to Library Archives Canada to get those records, and that's a fast track for us. So those are all things that we're doing for ourselves now at the bureaucratic level that were never there before. So one of the things that I think was very important, and once we got on the ear of the Veterans Affairs folks, they created a team called the Indigenous Veterans Engagement Team. And we work very closely with them now. In fact, we had our meeting last Thursday, and one of the IVET team members actually participated with us to give us update training. For those that don't know, and it's in the reports, annual reports, we had 11 veterans attend service officer training. And what a service officer is someone who would know intimately what details Veterans Affairs would need to support a veteran putting a claim in for a disability that's service-related. That hasn't been there, and now we have 14 service officers within our organization. Of the 11 that trained in Métis Crossing, again, that was a national thing that we did with the Veterans Affairs team. So that's where we are now. That's where we want to continue to go, and the legislation would reflect that. We don't have a minister for veterans, but my position would be the direct liaison with the Board of Governors so that they understand where we are, what we're doing, where we're going.
Thank you very much. Mr. Adams, if you wish to speak to.
Chairperson said it all.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak to the resolution? It hasn't been half an hour, but no. We'll just see if there's anyone online wishing to, but I'm not seeing any further desire for discussion. All right. I am hearing question, and I'm going to rule it in order because there's no one else waiting to speak. I will turn it over to our clerks to set up and advise once the poll is ready. Now, this one does require 75% of the votes cast in order to pass. So please go ahead.
Voting is open.
Okay, we'll give it 30 seconds and then we'll be closing the vote.
Wendy, and I'm blind.
All right, if we can close the voting.
So since to make it official, I have to call it into the record. There are 120 votes in favor, none opposed, 1 abstention. So that carries unanimously.
Thank you very much. And I'll turn it over to my colleague for Resolution 6.
All right, moving on to Resolution 6. Resolution 6 is quite lengthy. It occupies pages 110 to 113 in your book. And I'm just looking for kind of the will of the Assembly. Do we want to read the whole thing out, or would we like, no? Okay. Maybe we'll ask Nicole if she can summarize for us.
So this is the amendments to the Veterans Act. And what it does is it adds further definitions to provide more clarity. It gets rid of the class of associate members, and further bounds and responsibilities are added for the MVBC Executive Committee. The election cycle aligns with the MNBC elections, and something that was added at the MNGA was the addition of a 2S LGBTQIA+ representative to the Métis Veterans BC Committee. No, it is.
Thank you. So we'll look for a mover and a seconder for this one, and please come up to the microphones. Wonderful.
Dave Armit, Mikisew Métis, Chair of Métis Veterans BC. I so move.
Thank you.
Tom Adams, Mikisew Métis, I second.
Wonderful. I just asked Mr. Armit if you'd like to speak to the motion.
Thank you. Dave Armit. Just to add to what we just went through for Resolution 5, this is the cleaning up of our Veterans Act to help reflect what it is that we want to do at the level to support our veterans. So thank you.
Thank you. And Mr. Adams?
What he said.
Fabulous. All right. So we will open the floor for anyone who would like to speak to the motion. Just please come on up to the microphones if you're able, or wave really high if we need to run you a microphone. I see you, Angel. Please go ahead.
Hi. At the MNGA, we added an MVBC 2S LGBTQI+ representative. I believe in section 4.4 and 5.1, the 2S LGBTQI+ rep might have been missed being added there. 4.4 speaks to how the Women's Veteran Representative and Chief Service Officer are appointed, but there's nothing that speaks to how the 2S LGBTQI+ one is. And then 5.1 outlines the executive committee. which has the MVBC chairperson, women's representative, chief service officer, treasurer, and membership clerk.
Okay, so including a motion to include the 2S LGBTQIA plus representative in parts 4.4 and 5.1.
Yes.
Thank you. Is there a second for the motion? Can you just come up to the microphone?
Kathy McPherson. I'll second that.
Thank you. And we'll just get the wording up on the screen here. Is there anyone who would like to speak to the motion just while we're getting things going here? If you want to come up to the microphones?
Can I just say something? Just to our lovely clerk who is tracking the amendments, if we could use the 2S LGBTQIA+ in there, since it's not necessarily referring to a member of the 2S MBC Council.
All right. Angel, would you like to speak to the motion?
I think I did it. I think it's just the kind of the administrative pieces. I think it was probably just missed, the detail was just missed at the MNGA.
Thank you. And Kathy? Okay. Go ahead.
Dave Armit, Mikisew, and Chair for Métis Veterans. We're open to those two suggestions. When the initial input for it was in there, I guess it wasn't just thought about in the follow-on legislation, so we're open to accepting both of those. Thank you.
Great. Go ahead.
Sorry, there's just a typo in the current one. It should be 2S LGBTQIA+.
Thank you.
Oh.
Anyone else that would like to speak to this motion? Okay, we're going to look for unanimous consent. Is there any opposition to this amendment? Seeing none online? Nope. All right, the amendment passes. Okay, back to discussion on the now amended motion, or resolution, pardon me. Is there anyone else who would like to speak to the resolution as a whole? Okay. All right, we're going to go to the vote. I'll pass it over to the clerks to get the vote set up. And as Dave has explained many times now, if you are in favor of this resolution, you will vote 1 or A. If you are opposed, you will vote 2 or B. And if you choose to abstain, you will vote 3 or C. And we'll just let the clerks let us know when the voting is ready.
Voting is open.
This resolution requires a majority to pass, just so that you're aware of that. We'll give it another 10 seconds or so, and then we'll close the voting. All right, voting is closed.
Okay, we have a result. So this resolution was approved unanimously with 121 voting in favor, 0 opposed, and 2 abstentions.
Thank you very much. I'll turn it over to my co-chair for our next resolution.
Thank you very much. Everyone, we're going to keep on rolling along. We're going to go to Resolution 7. Again, I'm not sure. I'll go look for the will if we wish our clerk to read it out in full. I'm seeing head shaking no. Okay. Anyone online? Again, we have the materials, which is always helpful. Okay. I'll turn it over to our clerk in just a second.
Yes, so this is Resolution 7. And it is entitled Update to the Strategic Partnerships and Synchronization of Métis Women, 2S LGBTQIA+, and Youth Legislation. It affects the Women's Act, the 2S LGBTQIA+ Act, and the Youth Act, submitted by the MNGA via the chairs of the 3 councils in consultation with their membership on May 31st, 2025, and requires a majority vote for approval. And I will just read out the summary. So this is an update to align legislation with current MNBC external relationships by removing MNC and LFMO from the noted acts. Sections D to G also intend to align naming conventions and processes throughout the 3 councils. So MWBC currently says M2SBC. We can entertain a resolution to change that based on the decision yesterday, and Métis Youth BC.
Thank you very much. And I will look for a mover and a seconder. They psyched me out. I thought they were both going for the microphone. We're on Resolution 7. Yeah.
I so move.
Oh,
So we have a mover and a seconder.
okay, thank you. So mover will be, and just so we can get it for the minutes, please.
Carmen Carrier.
Thank you. And
Mia Ewell, Cowichan Valley Métis, Region 1 Women's Representative.
thank you very much. So we have it on the floor, and I will turn it over to our mover and then our seconder if you wish to speak to Resolution 7. On the hot seat. Walk in and on the hot seat.
I support moving it. We're just cleaning up the language and updating the relationships and the language. Thanks.
Thank you very much.
Carmen said it beautifully.
Thank you very much. Is there anyone else that would wish to speak to the resolution? And I'm going to recognize first Anya McVeigh.
Anya McVeigh, Region 3 2S Representative. Motion to update the language to read 2S MBC rather than M2SBC, and alterations where appropriate to the 2S LGBTQIA representation there.
All right, thank you. We'll just so we can get it all written in the appropriate spots.
Just to be clear, I think because this touches on the 2S LGBTQI+ Act, it could potentially be a motion to replace M2SBC with 2SMBC in the definition. I just want to clarify that's the intent.
So we're just going to find the instances within the resolution where those changes as proposed by Anya McVeigh, and then we will look for a seconder, and I'm assuming, based on your comments, Angel, that you would be willing to second that. Thank you. Yep, this will just take a couple minutes so we can hit all those spots. All right, thank you for our staff. Hopefully, Anya, you're content with the changes? Hopefully we're seeing it. I know it's not all on the one page. If we can just scroll slowly through, just so we can see where the red has been added. E would be the last spot. And is that the last spot? That's. Thank you.
3.4 also needed to be updated.
3.4, thank you. So I'm not sure where 3.4 is.
So 3.4 would need to be like an addition. It's in the 2S LGBTQI+ Act under Article 3 definitions. There's two 3.4s, but it's the first 3.4, the OG, as you'd say. Right now, 3.4 reads M2SBC means the Métis 2S LGBTQI+ of British Columbia.
Sorry, this would be in the excuse me, in the act itself. That's not set out here. I don't think that.
We just had a quick conference here, and it may be easier to just move the amendment that all instances of M2SBC be struck and replaced with 2SMBC in the 2S LGBTQIA+ Act. Would that suffice?
Sounds good.
Excellent.
Great, thank you. So that would just be making sure that the language is changed to the correct language in all instances. Thank you. So I did see affirmative from both our mover and seconder. Thank you very much. Is there anyone wishing to speak to the amendment, those changes? Nope. Okay. Not seeing anyone. Is there anyone online? Okay. All right. I'm going to look for the unanimous consent for the amendment, to making those changes as have been proposed. Is there any objection to those amendments? Any objection online? Not seeing any. All right, so that motion passes. So we now have back to the resolution now as amended. Was there anyone else wishing to speak to Resolution 7?
Hi, it's me again, Angela Robinson, Métis Nation, Greater Victoria. I am in favor of the resolution broadly. I just am concerned with the process that was followed to get here. In particular, I'm not, I think like the reason why there were specific relationships named in legislation was to create that kind of like legislative relationship. My concern is that the decision to take these out, like to sever those relationships, was made without going through the legislative process to remove them from the legislation, and now it's kind of being treated as legacy language. And I think that kind of it calls into question the integrity of the process in our legislation. When decisions can be made and then kind of retreated later as a just a change in language, when it actually the impact is significant. So I did want to raise that as a concern. I'm still generally in favor of the resolution, but I hope that there is some work done to rectify with the impacted communities in the future and really make sure that this was desired.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Please go ahead.
Anthony Wing with Métis Society. Just to kind of touch on Angel's point there as well, we just had the veterans stand up and acknowledge that they'll be working with other organizations regardless of the political. So I'm kind of also concerned about having this language with removing the specific LFMO and other organizations, just as I'm wondering if there's actually work being done to fix those relationships. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll look to the speaker to my left.
So the LMFO as an organization is free to do what they would like to do. We have people here who are actively involved with that group, and that is their choice. If you want to know about the group, the LMFO, please look up their governance. We are no longer named in their governance. They changed their governance. Prior to that happening, for those of you who don't know the history, all of the women's groups across the homeland made up the board of directors for the LMFO. That is no longer the governance structure, so I don't know what else to say. The governance of the LMFO does not include MMBC or MWBC at this time. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else? I'm just waiting for someone to call question. There it is. Thank you very much, everyone. I'm not seeing any more discussion. I just want to first double check no one online. Thank you very much. So then I will turn it over to our clerks. This will be, again, a resolution which requires a majority to pass. And when ready, you can open the polling.
Voting's open.
Okay, we'll give it a last 30 seconds and then we'll be closing the vote. All right, if we can close the vote, please.
Okay, this resolution passes. 117 votes in favor, 8 opposed, and 14 abstentions for 93% in favor.
Thank you very much. And I'm going to pass it over to my colleague for the final resolution.
All right, folks, final resolution. Here we go. I will pass it over to our clerk to read out the resolution.
This is Resolution 8, ensuring representation for 2S LGBTQIA+ citizens at the MNGA and regional governance councils. It affects the Electoral Act and the 2S LGBTQIA+ Act. It was submitted by the Métis Nation General Assembly via South Okanagan Similkameen Métis Society on March 1st, 2025. And requires a majority vote for approval. Whereas chartered community presidents constitute a majority of the membership of regional governance councils and the Métis Nation Governing Assembly, in the event a community president cannot attend an RGC or an MNGA meeting, the vice president may attend in their place. Chartered community presidents and vice presidents are leaders in their community and as such may also hold elected regional positions. If a president or vice president is also an elected regional representative, reduction of representation at an RGC or MNGA such as women and youth may be negatively impact. A similar resolution for the Métis Women BC, Métis Youth BC was approved by the Assembly at the 2024 MNBC AGM, and approval of this resolution will align the 2S LGBTQIA+ Act with the Métis Nation Women's Act and the Métis Nation Youth Act. Be it resolved that the underlined words be inserted in Article 10 to the Electoral Act, so it will read, upon election by vote or acclamation, as a regional 2S LGBTQIA+ regional women's or youth representative, a citizen who holds the position of president or vice president on a chartered community board must immediately resign from that position. B, the following be added as a sub-article to Article 5.3 of the 2S LGBTQIA+ Act. Upon election by vote or acclamation as a regional 2S LGBTQIA+ representative, a citizen who holds the position of president or vice president on a chartered community board must immediately resign from that position. If the position of regional 2S LGBTQIA+ representative is vacant between elections, a president or vice president of a chartered community may be appointed to the position on an interim basis, subject to procedures set out in the Constitution and the MNGA Act.
Thank you very much. We'll look for a mover and a seconder for this one. Do you want to come up to the microphone and just state your name, please?
Charlie DeFau, Region 4 Youth Rep.
Thank you. And a second?
Ron Kiran with Vernon District Métis. I second.
Thank you. Charlie, did you want to speak to the resolution? No, okay. Ron, would you like to speak to the resolution?
So when we, sorry, Ron Kiran with Vernon District Métis, when we initially put the initial resolution forward where the youth and the women's regional rep couldn't be a president or vice president, it was actually due to an election for a senator in our RGC that was called to question the validity of the vote. So there was somebody who voted to put a person, a senator in position that actually wasn't qualified to vote, because the president was actually the president of that association was the regional rep. So she voted as a regional rep, but somebody unqualified voted, and then it was called to question by another president, and we had to revote. This is probably, to me, now that we have another regional representative in our regions, this is probably just non-discriminatory. All three regional positions are all equal now. So that's why I speak in favor.
Thank you. Carmen, go ahead.
Carmen Carrier, Vancouver City Sky. I am actually speaking, however, for leader Jamie Lee Keith of SOSMA, who had to leave the AGM, unfortunately. And her words are, I believe this falls under the category of housekeeping so that all chair and regional reps, youth, 2S, and women all run by the same rules to keep things fair across the board. That's from Jamie Lee Keith.
Thank you. Topher, please go ahead.
Hey, Topher Burke, Region 4 2S Rep and President Columbia Valley Métis. I'm going to speak against this for multiple reasons. One is it doesn't take into account the unique challenges of both being in a rural and a 2S position. As we know, there's 3 out of 7 of our regions don't even have 2S reps, and some of that is for those people who have fear of coming out, fear of sticking their neck out. For me to even get 5 people to sign my papers for nomination was nearly pulling teeth in my region. That's just getting people to sign a paper. In small communities, we always have to wear multiple hats. We don't have a choice. I'm president, I'm the 2S rep, I'm a firefighter. I have to do all kinds of things in my community just because we have to. We're a small community. It's not downtown Toronto. We don't have lots of people coming up wanting to step into positions. So we have to do multiple things. And to me, this seems like making a rule for the sake of making a rule because there's other rules that are similar to this rule. And that seems incredibly colonial in its thinking. I'm stuck in between, do I leave my two-spirit role? And now that those people finally have a voice on this council, their nation, now they won't have a voice in my region. Or if my board on my community has literally said, there's 4 of them, 3 of them have said that if I leave my position, they're going with me. That means my community folds. That means the 3 years that we've been putting into a housing project, completely wiped out. The MMBC will have to come in, restart our community from scratch. Does that really help have more representation? Having our representation enough for our community when our community is going to have to fold because of that?
Thank you. Rob, go ahead.
Rob Anderson, President Sea to Sky, and also the Region 2 2S Rep. I'm speaking against this. I do not believe this is a cookie-cutter approach. The reasoning, there is no reasoning why we have to be exactly the same as the women and the youth. There are different circumstances, and Topher justly pointed those out. So I really feel that there is a place. I know in communities like Vancouver, it's different. It's totally different because I can step aside from being president and somebody will step into that. We're a big enough community that that is possible. But when you get into communities like Columbia Valley Métis Association, you're you're denying people the right to have proper governance in their area, one way or another. Like Topher said, he'll have to make a choice on whether or not he's going to serve the Two-Spirit people or whether he's going to serve the community. And I think this legislation, in its form that it is in now, is flawed, and I do not think we need a cookie-cutter approach to this. Thank you.
Thank you. We have Anya McVeigh. If someone could send a microphone to the back for Anya. Thank you.
Anya McVeigh, Region 3 2S representative and formerly Vice President of Two Rivers Métis. I'm speaking against this along with my fellow representatives. I opted to not put my name forward for the presidency of my community because this was coming up and I didn't want to risk having to leave them at mere months after becoming president. And yay, great, we got a great new president, so yay, that's awesome. But also this becomes completely pointless after we've already done Resolution 3, because now anybody can represent the community. Did we not pass that?
Thank you. Pixie, please go ahead.
Pixie Wells, citizen of the Fraser Valley Métis Association. I'll be voting against this resolution, and there's a few reasons. We passed the one yesterday, I think it was resolution number 3 or 4, I could be wrong. However, to be able to put people in those places to be able to vote for us, so I think they kind of, in my opinion, one counts, one out. So I will be voting against this resolution for many reasons. Equality and equity in our nation, especially for the Two-Spirit people. We don't have as many people coming out to say they're 2S as we do coming out to say that they're women. And how long did it take the women and the youth of the nation to clear up for themselves? Again, remind ourselves, this is a new committee, this is new, and we're moving through the process to make sure everybody is equally and shared at the table. So giving them the opportunity to create this space, make it happen. And I agree, this is not a cookie cutter approach. We are human beings as well, and I think we'll be silenced at this point.
Thank you. Please go ahead.
Karen Nagao, Métis Nation, Columbia River. I would, again, like to speak against the motion or against the resolution. Equity is not equality, and in 10 years, this may be appropriate, my hope, and maybe sooner, but at this point, it's apples and oranges. It's very different from the women, and I think that this needs to be, I would hope that we would all see this in a new light.
Thank you. We'll go to our speaker online, Judy Van Berrigan.
Judy Van Waringen, Charlie Lake, BC. I definitely am going to be voting against this, totally opposed to it. The reason being, I was a past president and a woman's representative, and it is, I agree with both Pixie, Anya, and the two fellow that spoke before. You know, you cannot, and especially if you're in a smaller community, trying to find people just to get on your board and take on any role in your community is like pulling teeth in some places. And to have to give up one position to take on another is, in a community where you can't find anybody to fill those positions, I don't think is right. I think if you're trying to do the best for your community and you have to hold two positions, then I don't think there should be in writing that you cannot do that. I do understand, and I understand, like when you're going to the MNGA, they worry about voting. Well, now you're going to have to vote either as a president or as a woman's rep or whatever other position you hold, I understand you can only have one vote. You can't vote on both pieces. I do understand that. And I was in a situation where I did have to do that. So for many, many reasons, which have all been brought up before with the other speakers, I am totally opposed to this resolution. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll go to our speaker on the left here.
Carmen Carrier, Vancouver City Sky. I just want to point out that B1 actually addresses the concerns that people are raising. And it says, if the position of the regional 2S LGBTQIA representative is vacant between elections, a president or vice president of a chartered community may be appointed to the position on an interim basis, subject to procedures set out in the Constitution Act and the MNGA Act. So what we want to do here is we want to encourage, especially our young people, to come up. And I believe in talking to Jamie Lee, that was the idea, right? So that you encourage people in your community to come up and take your place. It is not just the 2S Council that has difficulty filling spots. I can tell you, I had to go to regional directors and to community presidents to help recruit people to come and fill the Women's Council. The other issue that the gathering should know here is that currently all three councils are working on our governance structure. Our governance structure is developing. We are identifying priorities. So I do believe that this is just clearing up language. And in terms of the governance and how we are going to govern ourselves, we have a beautiful document that I just want to show everybody that the wonderful Sasha Hobbs created. Governance framework for our provincial councils. So it's the work for the councils to do to identify how the governance should be moving forward. Again, B1, that accounts for these difficulties when we have vacancies, but this is shared across the board for our youth, our women, and our 2S. We all have challenges recruiting people to serve on the councils.
Thank you. We'll go to the speaker on the right.
Tracy Franklin, South Okanagan Similkameen Métis Association. I will be voting against this. As was pointed out earlier, that when we're dealing with a smaller population, you know, a women's rep, you're looking at like kind of 50% of the population are women and that sort of thing. While with 2S LGBTQIA people, we are a much smaller group of people. And it's not just in the smaller communities or the less active communities that this is an issue. I know that when the positions came up for the regional reps, that Anya and I are both in Region 3, and I had wanted to run as well, but her and I were going back and forth with each other, like, can you sign my nomination papers? Do you know anyone who can sign my nomination papers in Region 3? Like, it was almost impossible for either of us to get enough people to sign the nomination papers because the amount of people in our region who are out as 2S LGBTQIA is very small. And we are a big region with very active chapters, you know, very active communities with lots of people in them. I think we have 800 in South Okanagan, and it's a different thing. And like someone else said, maybe in a few years this would be coming up, but right now I don't think it's appropriate. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Allard.
Yeah, hi, good morning. I'm David Allard, Seminar Métis Association. Initially, I was going to vote in support of this for a few reasons, mostly because I did see it as generally as a housekeeping matter. After having a real good chat with President Topher last night, I changed my mind. I was made aware of real-world consequences of this going through, and for me, that was enough to make me change my mind. If there's more harm by leaving this in passing this than not supporting this. I would vote for it, but I believe the opposite is true. At this stage, I think there's more real-world consequences, negative consequences that would happen if the example that President Topher shared with me would happen. So that's one of the main reasons why I'm going to vote against this. And I think it would be different in comparison to the other two councils, but I think that's just a simple way of manifesting the concept of we own ourselves, so we can determine what we want to do. I would like some quick clarification, possibly in regards to section B1. Can it be confirmed, please, that that section is in line with similar parameters in the other two councils? I would hope so. It is, so that's good. So that represents continuity. And then a final thought exercise here. If a president of a community has to resign, if this passes, then that creates a vacancy. So then that same president could be appointed to the position they would have just resigned and on an interim basis until a by-election happens. And if no one shows up for that by-election, then that person stays in that position for the remainder of the term. It seems slightly self-defeating and convoluted to go through all of that, especially if it is generally known that there's no candidates waiting to take up that position. Because if that's the case, if someone's really eager to take a position, say, of the 2S regional rep, a president, knowing that, can just resign their 2S position and have another individual join the RGC. And I'm sure President Topher would probably welcome that, knowing there's more people. So I think there's no harm in letting this drop. And as President Rob said, we can revisit this, try to clarify it so it makes a little bit more sense, and it helps all of us. Thank you.
Angel, please go ahead.
Thanks. Angel Robinson, Métis Nation, Greater Victoria. I would also like to speak in opposition to this resolution for similar reasons that have been cited. The point of the 2S LGBTQI+ Act was to increase representation of 2S LGBTQI+ people at every level of governance, at the community and the provincial level. And I think that this resolution would have the opposite effect. And I just want to be clear that when you are 2S LGBTQI+, when you're queer, you are in greater danger than other people in the nation. And in particular, if you are gender diverse or trans, right now, like, because I have a gender X marker, I couldn't travel to the States. I wouldn't be safe. And even in a place like Victoria, I constantly have to look over my shoulders. And that's only getting worse because there are so many politicians in the world right now raising fears and division and misinformation about queer people. And so when we ask people to step into these roles, we are asking them to put themselves in a level of danger that other people don't have to experience, and we are asking them to do it as volunteers. So that's why I'm opposed to it. And then this resolution was also raised about us, without us. It's not something that we brought forward. So I would just like to ask for time. We have just planted the seeds, and I just would ask that we have time to water our garden and allow ourselves to blossom. And then one day bring forward something that is made by us that meets our needs. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll go to our speaker online, Donald Brett.
Hello, good morning. Brett Smith, Cowichan Valley Regional District in Region 1. I am going to also speak out against this. I think it's when I'm probably echoing the concerns of other people. I just think it's too early. I support the concept of this when that portion, if you will, of our community is ready. To echo Angel's point, for us, by us becomes important. Beyond that, I don't think, just to speak to a concern that was raised, resolution 3 that was raised yesterday or passed yesterday, I don't think will address this or speaks to this, which is a separate discussion for a future time. But regardless, I think this is premature. Let it grow, let it marinate, and return to this in a few years, where hopefully this is an appropriate piece of legislation. Thank you.
Thank you. Sarah, please go ahead. It's not quite time yet.
We still have a number of speakers on our list.
Sarah Kerr, Region 1, 2S Rep. I am speaking in opposition of this. Few things. I want to talk about B1. It doesn't resolve Topher's problem and puts more burden on a community, a small community that's run by volunteers. So now we're asking them to have a by-election and do all these things just to show up and have Topher come back in again. Or maybe he won't because he's sick of the rigor, and now that community folds. So I don't think it actually addresses this exact issue. The second piece I want to talk about is the risk that the 2S folks take when we step into these roles. We have to sign a paper that we acknowledge that we are taking a risk, and our name is now publicly out there. When I did that, I have children. I put them at risk as well because it is not safe for us. I am very lucky. I am present female, I'm passing, I can integrate into society. Not all my kin can. And so you're putting that lens of like, okay, yeah, we can go out there, we can ask the regional directors to volunteer, find people. It's not the same for us. We have to put our name on a website. I'm out there. You want to find out who we are? Our names are on a website. The risk is not the same as a youth or as a woman to have your name on a website stating that you are that rep. The last point is just, I know this was made in good faith. I have no doubt that this was good faith. We thought it was housekeeping. It's not housekeeping. I want to be very clear about that. This is not housekeeping, and this is again where we have to go, is this equity or equality? Well, this is trying to create equality, and we need equity here. So let's remember that this is not a one-stop shop. We can't just have the same approach for all of these, and I guess we'll leave it at the Willie Assembly, but thank you.
Thank you. The next speaker I had was Melissa Kelm. Did you want to speak?
I guess mine's just more for clarity. Like I hear the council and I absolutely agree with you, especially with small communities. But going back to even what Anya then said, which kind of brings to what Ron's concern was. So I guess very privileged in Region 3 that we have presidents that are stepping up. We have people that are part of the 2S community that are stepping up, and that's amazing. And I'm so grateful to live in my region and have that privilege. But if it stays the way that it is, then it does allow Anya to run for president in my community as well as sit on the regional. And then it brings back to Ron's point of that conflict when we're in our RGC. So as much as in those small communities, absolutely 100%. And you're right, there's an equity, equality discrepancy on both sides, to be honest, because it's going to cause problems for both sides. And I guess that's just kind of my question. So I get that can make Topher's community fold, and that's absolutely terrible. I don't know what the answer is, but I'm wondering if there's like better language to put in there so that it allows Topher and smaller communities to be able to hold multiple positions, but then also the larger communities with that privilege where you're only able to hold one position. I get probably not, but you know, perfect world.
Thank you. Bryn, please go ahead.
Tanshe Brindishnek-Eshun. I'm the Region 2 Youth Rep, and I felt the need to speak on this because I've heard no youth come up this weekend. We've had opportunity to speak for the Senate this weekend, which has been amazing. And they keep echoing, like, as youth, we need to stand up and have our voices heard. I see this as housekeeping. It's a way to level the playing field. It's equity. Our structures, the governance, are very similar between 2S, youth, and women, and it seems unfair to have 2S people have this. They have a different regulation compared to us. As a youth, as a woman, you're not allowed to run for president, It's leveling the playing field here. I think we also have to look back at our cultural values and stop looking at this as black and white and look at how we can come together. A lot of the issues 2S people face are intersectional with women and youth. I think we need to do a better job of finding unity in that. Instead of looking at separate issues, we're stronger together. We all face high rates of violence. As a young female Indigenous youth, I face high rates of violence. That's, again, I said, an intersectional issue with 2S and women, and I'd just love to see moving forward us having more unity in that, instead of arguing about these things. Thank you.
Thank you. Rhonda, please go ahead.
Rhonda Carrier, board member of Vancouver Sea to Sky. I just first want to say I appreciate everybody who's got up to share their point of view. I've just learned some things this morning that I hadn't considered with this resolution, but I'm just coming from the position of a board member of Vancouver Sea to Sky. And sure, you know, rural communities, I understand. Topher, wow, I hadn't considered that. That would be very difficult if that happened. But even in Vancouver Sea to Sky, I just think we have a really difficult time finding volunteers for the board. And we have lost, since I've been on the board for almost 2 years, we've lost 3. Because Carmen was our vice president. Sabi, who we all love, had to leave because she got status. We had another member leave because of another membership issue. And we're dwindling away. Partially, I'm like, okay, if we lose our president, then we'll have a new president because we're a big field. But you know what? We're a very small board. It's very difficult to get things happening. And so I have 2 things to say. Like, I wouldn't want to lose another board member. But on the other hand, when people are wearing 2 hats, they're not present. So if their loyalties are divided, and it's not like, oh, choose one or the other, but it's like if you're going to be a president, a vice president, or be on the board, please be on the board with us, because we do need all of us there. We are stronger together, we're all volunteers, and we need people, like even at the board level, who don't wear other hats. So I don't know what it means in terms of how I vote on this, but because I really feel for people who will lose people that are on our boards. But at the same time, we need people to be committed. Like, I mean, we can build community at the regional level, at the community level, at our charter community level. We can build community with our 2S, LGBTQ, QQIA people, with our women. There's lots of places, but I guess what it is we're all overworked as volunteers. But I just wanted to put that out there, that I'm tired of losing fellow board members. So I don't know what that means.
Thank you. Joy, you're my next speaker. Joy, you're my next speaker. Go ahead.
Joy Bremner, leader of the Mid-Island Métis Nation. I wanted to speak to the Assembly yesterday, and it was about community and community development, because this also does impact that. You know, even though we have over, 2,500 Métis in my community area that have identified and have one form of paperwork or another for citizenship, it's difficult to get board members. And part of it quite often is hostilities they see at various AGMs and even at our own. And unfortunately, we had some LGBTQ that were not even our citizens or members of our community come in and tell one of our elders off publicly. And that was so unfortunate because it tainted everybody's view of that. And so that method of doing that really damaged our community and the efforts that were being made on behalf of LGBTQ. And so with that, that's important that everyone is aware of that as we face this going forward. And even from a community, over the years, we've done many things in our area. How do we grow community support and board members? Because they see anything negative and they all run. And I don't blame them. As a woman living through the decades that I have, the hostilities I've faced as a woman are huge. And I still face those, And so looking at that, if we can't come together, all of us, to try and work these things out, and seeing the name of, a chartered community written within this, I had to speak about it and the various things that my community feels about it. because as a president that's active and listens, I am very aware of the various different thoughts that exist in my community about it. Which ones pull us apart, and how do we pull it back together? And that resides not only with the president and the current board members, but it resides with MNBC as well. Help us to pull our communities together on these thoughts so we can come to a healthy perspective and a healthy vote in when we're putting these things forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Caitlin, you're my next speaker. Go ahead.
Caitlin Bird, Métis Nation, Greater Victoria. I also want to, I've heard a lot of thoughts about different communities and different circumstances that different chartered communities are in, and some perhaps have a larger community membership who wants to be part of their boards, and some perhaps have more challenges. Predating this resolution, predating the youth and the women's resolution that forbid people from holding a president or vice president role and a regional representative role, our community's own bylaws prohibited that. And so I just want to offer to everyone in the room, if we pass this, that makes equality across the entire, equality across the entire province. If we do not pass this, it allows communities to determine their own positions and have equity across the province. So I want to put that as an option.
Thank you. Vicky, go ahead.
Tanshi Richard Shinakashin, Vancouver Sea to Sky Métis Association. Yeah, I wanted to echo partly what Rhonda said in terms of like even in larger communities, it's very hard to get involvement for other people to join the board, so I can't even imagine the barriers that are faced in smaller communities. Also not written in the legislation itself, but just a comment on who we kind of want to encourage into the roles for representatives. As to us and youth, I think it is valuable to have youth in positions, but I think we also can't undervalue the importance of having older people in those positions as well, especially when you're considering representing the whole population. If it's disproportionately represented by youth, especially when the population after the AIDS epidemic and everything is already so skewed, I think it is very valuable to have older people in those positions and give us guidance, because young people provide a very valuable perspective, but it isn't backed with the same experience of being able to provide that governance. So I think having the representation even within that community have more diversity is also very valuable.
Thank you. We're going to go to a speaker online, Joanne Anderson.
Hello, I am Elder Joanne, and I am with Vancouver Sea to Sky, Elder to the board. One thing that I am hearing is people saying cookie cutter and make changes. We are human beings. We are not all the same. All situations are unique. I am opposed to this and fully in support of being opposed. It's the right thing to do. It is not an even playing field. When there is fear by an individual that they come forward as they come into themselves, that is discrimination. And I am opposed.
Thank you. We're going to go to another online speaker, Marie Bercier. Okay. We'll come back to Marie. Anya and Topher, I have you in my queue, but we're going to go to the folks who haven't spoken yet, so please go ahead.
Sion Anderson, I'm the vice chair of the Youth Council. I just wanted to speak in opposition to this. I know as a youth council, we've had difficulties filling spots on our council as well, but the 2S Council specifically has had much more issues because it puts people in positions of danger. And I think we should be very considerate about further silencing voices of people who have historically had their voices silenced already. Thank you.
Thank you. Please go ahead.
Tanche Shelley McGregor, MNCRS. I'm speaking on opposition of this resolution. I think we all need to just revisit the resolution, the 2S LGBTQIA+ Act that was passed last year. Does everybody just remember the raw emotion of all the testimony we heard last year? And then, like, how much pride we all felt when this resolution passed, and our nation was the first one to support a 2S LGBTQIA ministry. We were the first one, and we were very proud, and I keep on saying it. Now let's bring us back to this floor. When a 2S MBC member came yesterday and said they do not feel safe within our nation, not just outside, but within our nation, they feel unsafe. And I think we need to table this and give them another 3 years for this ministry to complete their first term and give MNBC the time to gather the resources necessary so that, give MNBC the time to gather the resources necessary to address the inequity, and that so all our 2S MNBC citizens feel safe within our nation.
Wonderful. Charlie, please go ahead.
First off, I would just like to ask maybe if I can revoke my motion, if that's possible.
No, because it's on the floor. It's owned by the Assembly now. So, yeah.
Oh, okay, okay. Oh, okay, okay, thank you. Sorry, I'm new to this.
No problem.
I wrote something out. I have decided I'm going to abstain from this. I don't think I have enough information, and I am from a smaller community in Region 4, and I understand how difficult it is to generate engagement or get that involvement that we're looking for. I am a female bisexual youth, and I feel as though this will level the playing field for all. But I'm also torn, so I'm going to abstain from this. Thank you.
Thank you. Daniel.
Hello, Danielle Bergeron. I am the provincial youth chairperson. My comments will be brief. I just really wanted to remind everyone and center what President Caron said about the real implications that this can have if it moves forward. So I would like to speak in support of this. Thank you.
Thank you. Marcel?
Hello, my name is Marcel Fung. I'm a Two-Spirit youth, which I feel like is a really underrepresented group here. I'm opposed because I think that there's a lot of barriers that come with being Two-Spirit that people really haven't reckoned with, and especially MNBC as a very corporatized legislative government. We don't understand what patriarchal roles feel like for Two-Spirit people, how they're not welcome in places like MNBC, how it can be difficult to break down barriers like that and even be here talking, because it's not somewhere that we can mesh, where we can feel heard. So I think it needs more time. Obviously, we have so many people talking here. Alex called into question, but if we have more things to discuss, then.
Thank you. Speaker here.
I'm Dylan Adam from the Vermilion Forks Métis Association. I'm speaking in support of this resolution. I think we're just missing the core goal of this resolution is to increase representation at all levels of government. There's going to be times when a community president, your community is going to have interests that are at odds with the 2S LGBTQIA representative role, and then you're going to have to make a choice. Are you going to vote with the interests of your community or the interests of the group you represent? So that's just my words. So someone's going to be losing their representation in that situation.
Thank you. We'll go to our next speaker here.
Kathy McPherson, Northwest BC Métis Association. I'd like to call the question. We've heard many great and eye-opening explanations and opinions, and I feel that we have the information we should need to be able to either approve or defeat this.
Thank you. We will finish our speakers list that we have now, and then we'll move into the vote. So we have our speaker here on the right.
So hi. Jennifer Cope, Columbia Valley Métis Association, and I oppose this strongly.
Thank you very much. We're going to go to a speaker online, Manit Kursal.
Tanche Manit Kursal, North Region Métis Association. I am so grateful to see everyone speaking, especially the youth who give me much courage to speak myself. I do want to acknowledge that as Two-Spirit people, we make up about 2% of the population. I see a lot of my relatives in space right now. I believe because we face such discrimination and harm openly, especially within politics, I know for myself that makes me more inclined to show up in spaces to ensure that our voice is heard. We can see in the States and Alberta the anti-trans and homophobic rhetoric that is showing up in our community. So I think that while we're considering equity, as everyone's brought up, we need to consider our Two-Spirit relatives and that representation, especially in communities that are smaller. I would even say rural, remote areas where that diversity isn't as prominent as in the Lower Mainland. Sorry. I think that in this circumstance, I agree with some of the sentiments of allowing each chartered community to assess their own communities, and for those people who hold dual roles to assess their capacity to take on those two roles, and leave it to the individuals to make those decisions and those communities to make those decisions together, as opposed to making it clear across the board.
Thank you. Kestra, please go ahead.
Kestra Franklin, Region 3 Youth Rep. I think that while I'm not able to have a vote in this, I think it's very important to acknowledge that when you are in a community and you are part of a group that is very marginalized, whether that be due to race or sexual identity and orientation, I think that when you are not in a part of those groups, it's very difficult to understand where people are coming from. And I think that while it makes sense to say that we do need this to be equal, I think we really need to look at it and try and put ourselves in the shoes of those who are saying that they do not feel safe. I know many youth, I've talked to many youth, and they do not, as Two-Spirit youth, they do not feel safe in their communities. They do not feel represented in their communities, and I think that that's something that we need to acknowledge when we're having these conversations. Thank you.
Thank you. Louis, you are my next speaker? No? Okay. All right, we're going to go to our final two speakers. So we'll go back to Anya in the back corner there.
Hello, Anya McVeigh, 2S representative for Region 3.
I wanted to address the worries that some folks seem to have regarding people wearing two hats. We just voted in Resolution 3, which, quote, "In the event that neither the president nor the vice president can attend the MNGA, the community board may, by resolution, appoint an elected board member to attend." The MNGA and the RGC are the only points at which the 2S representatives and the presidents are both required to be at that meeting. And the 2S representatives can't vote at the MNGA. We're just present. So really you're looking at the RGC and having to worry about wearing two hats. And we've already voted into being the fact that somebody else from the community can represent the community. So you're not wearing two hats. You're representing.
Thank you. Topher, we'll finish with you.
Yeah, I got two things. I was going to build off of what Anya was saying. The rule we passed yesterday, that rule didn't exist when Ron's issue happened in their community. So there was no legislative way to bypass that problem. We now have that way to bypass that problem. Our communities still get the representation they need with having that rule. So does that not make this rule completely redundant for not only 2S Council, but also the women and the youth? Wouldn't it make sense to, instead of having more rules, to make it easier to have representation and allow our people to have representation? I would love to have people standing behind me wanting to take my position. That would be amazing that we could have that kind of equality, but we don't. We're not there. When we get there, I would love to revisit it, but we're not there yet. So maybe we could revisit this in 3 years when our first term is up, when we've actually had time to get on the ground and get things going and get work done. We haven't had a chance to do that yet, and this has been looming over our heads since we got right from the get-go. So it's made it a challenge to even get started before we even get off the ground. And we're the first nation in Canada to have such a council. Why are we making it harder to have the council get it going and do some really, really good, beautiful work?
Thank you. Okay, we're going to go to the votes. This resolution requires a majority vote to pass. I will pass it over to our clerks to get things going on the voting. And just a reminder, if you are in favor of the resolution, you're voting 1 or A. If you are opposed, you're voting 2 or B. And if you choose to abstain, you are voting 3 or C.
Voting is open.
Okay, we'll give it another 30 seconds. All right, we can close the voting, please.
Okay. So we have the results. We have 29 in favor, 102 opposed, 12 abstentions. This resolution is defeated. I hand it back over to my co-chair.
I want to thank everyone, not just for today, but for the entire weekend. There was some, I think, wonderful discussion. There were some impassionate voices, but it was respectful. I think we were able to get through all of the business. I hope there were some questions, and if things were not answered, I know our board and staff is willing to answer questions going forward, of course. Again, want to thank everyone. I want to thank the staff for the wonderful work they've been doing behind the scenes everywhere. I think they deserve a round of applause. In particular, I'd like to thank my colleagues here to my right and my co-chair. And looking at me, the agenda.
I would just like to interrupt and thank
out of
Dave.
order. Out of order. Out of order. We are ahead of schedule. I know. That's a good thing we started early today, I guess. Just before we get to our closing prayer, we have Senator Gladue who will come up in just a moment. Once the prayer is done, I will look for a formal motion to adjourn. And just to advise, so the time is we are on time for our health break. And I believe, and I'm not sure where we're at with it, yes, so there's the boxed lunches, and I think that we've called them up so they're available, so people aren't leaving for the health break and gone, and then we show up, or the lunches show up like an hour later as originally scheduled. So please make sure you take a boxed lunch with you as well. Hopefully everyone has a little bit extra time to check out and decompress a little bit before they have to travel, and safe travels. But I'll invite our still senator for another couple more days to join us here for the closing prayer. Do you want to present? You presented before, yeah.
Okay, can you hear me now? Okay, so I feel good. The work that you've been doing, I see it in your faces. There's some good work has been done here. So I just want to congratulate all of you for the work that you do and all the support that you give to your communities. It's very crucial that we stay safe, number one. And at the closing, I just want to stress that out. We always have to make a safe place for all of us to be able to feel good about the things that we do. So I'll leave you with that, and I'm going to say a closing prayer in one of our languages again, and the language that I speak is the Cree-Machif, Northern Cree-Machif language. And I ask each one of you, at this time, just reflect. Go to the heart, not to the head, about how you felt coming to this AGM. I want to say to all of you, have a safe trip home. Take some good stuff home for your families, your communities, and your children. Let's always remember them. So with that, just bear with me. Anoch tawi, asamino mota kakio, kap mosagami kapawia. Kapin dutamat nan, tapin sawimia, kawi kiwia, imiwasik kigway, tigiwitamwa ako, wakumagan Snohtainan, koyask, tatakusania, teikawitohtia. Ana moso. Kistake nas komt nanos kagi siga. Nas komo ya homota ge piwi chiwi ya. Iksnohta ya. Koyask tisi chige ya. Emio asaki goyo tatap muhna maso ya. Tapn gewit tamoa ko humagan no. Eksanma kenas komten anosta samin kagi siga knohtawe. Thank you. May God mercy kenas komten now. Oh, and have a safe trip home. Yeah. Oh.
Okay. I will entertain a motion to adjourn to our left.
Motion.
Sorry, name and community?
Wendy Schneider, Rocky Mountain Métis. I make that motion.
I will look for a seconder.
Melissa Kelm, Two Rivers. I second.
Thank you. I will look for unanimous consent. Is that objection? Thank you, everyone. The adjournment meeting is adjourned.